Assalamu alaikum. How are you? How are you studying these days? We have studied a lot of topics now, and I'm sure that you must be getting used to with all these topics. Now you must be planning your communication. Whenever you are writing any type of letter, any message or anything, you must be having the planning steps in your mind. Today we are going to discuss a topic which we did discuss previously in one of our lectures, and we did mention it time and again. You can recall that when we were discussing the essential parts of the business letter, we also discuss some essential parts of another type of very important communication, very important channel. What was it? Yes, it was memorandum. Memorandum is different from a routine letter. Not in terms of its message. Obviously, both carry the same message. A letter has a message, a memorandum has a message, but their readers are different. Normally, a letter is sent outside the organization, whereas a memorandum is sent, yes, inside the organization. When you wish to communicate with people, with employees within your organization, you choose this medium of communication. So, it doesn't matter whether you're writing memos to people who are in your own office or who are working in the same building, or they are working in some other building, maybe miles away from your office, but all they are part of your organization, maybe some other department of your organization. So, memo is written to the employees of the same organization. So, it's a medium of internal communication. Memo is different from a letter in many ways. First of all, it is different in parts. We do not include in memos all those parts that we include in a letter. Which are those parts? As we discussed, so you must be knowing it, I'm sure. Yes. We do not include inside address in the memo. We do not include salutation in the memo. We do not include complimentary clause in the memo. So, three of the main essential parts of a letter are not included in a memo. Beside the tone that we adopt in memo is to some extent different. We'll discuss this in detail, because here one thing is very clear, and most of the time it is there, and that is that the reader of the memo is very well known to us. He is our superior, he is our peer, he is our subordinate. So far as the knowledge of the reader of memo is concerned, it's very well known to us. But memo is very flexible compared to a letter. As I just told you, that we very well know the reader of a message in most of the cases. So the nature of the message, the tone of the message is very flexible compared to a letter, as it is used to send information within an organization. It is used to send information at every level, as we will discuss a little later on. It serves, though, the same purpose as does the letter, but the tone of memo compared to a letter is very flexible. We send different types of messages. We can send even a one-sentence message or a report. We can send any instruction. We can send any briefing, anything. We can send any record through this as employer. Whenever we feel that we can communicate something to any reader without complicating the matter that requires a face-to-face meeting, we use this medium of communication. So, memo is there for every employee of an organization to communicate with the other employee of the organization. Let's look at the tone of memo, that what type of the tone do we adopt in a memo. Most companies, like letters, write memos in first person. As we have been discussing right from the beginning, that we want to make our messages personal. So we use first person more in our letters, more in our memos. So to make the tone of the memo courteous, we use first person most of the time. Obviously, we use all the C qualities of a business letter into our memo, but since it's an informal way of sending message, a little different from a letter, so most of the time we use first person in our memos. Besides, the tone of memo is influenced by the position held by the writer in relation to that held by the receiver. I mean, obviously, it is there too in the letter that the tone is determined by the relationship of both reader and the receiver. It will be determined by your relationship, whether you are communicating with your superiors, with your peers, with your subordinate. So, very first thing that determines the tone of the memo is the relationship of the sender and the receiver, the person writing the memo and the person receiving the memo. So this is first thing to consider when we are writing memo, when we are determining about the tone of the memo. The third thing that is topic under consideration. Obviously, we are communicating different topics through this medium. Some topics require a formal tone. Obviously, an accountant will adopt a formal tone when he is writing a financial report. But when some simple message is being sent, the tone will be very informal. Next thing to it is personality of the communicator, the person communicating. Obviously, if you are the president of the organization, you can adopt an informal style. But if you are receiving any message, the tone of the message will certainly be very formal. So, the tone of the message is determined by all these three things. First of all, the relationship of the sender and the receiver. The second thing is the topic under discussion, and the third thing is personality of the sender. Next thing to it is the flow of memo. A memo may be sent upwards, as we've been discussing. It can go to superiors. It may be sent downwards or horizontally or sideways. It may be sent from one individual to another individual. It may be sent from one individual to a department. It may be sent from one department to another department. It may be sent from one individual to large body of staff. So the channel will be the internal mail system of the organization. What do we mean by the internal mail system of the organization? This internal mail system ranges from a bank of pigeonholes, right, in which letters are put into different holes. So this internal mail system ranges from a bank of pigeonholes for delivery and collection in person. That is, that you put your mail into a certain hole and you collect your mail from a certain hole. So from a bank of pigeonholes for delivery and collection in person to a desk-to-desk delivery system, that the mail is delivered to your desk and it is taken from your desk. And sometimes special mail envelopes are designed for this purpose, and they are reusable because the name of a person receiving the message is then, or memo is then crossed when the reader reads it, and he rewrites the name of the receiver of the message. So this is the flow of memorandum. Flow of memorandum, as I just said, it flows upwards, downwards and sideways, from one department to another department, from one person to another person, from one person to a larger body of staff, and the internal mail system of the organization. As I said, it ranges from one type to another type. The first type, the pigeonhole, that's very old one, but still used in certain organization, to any modern channel. So when you are considering about memo, you have to think of that what is the purpose of memo, or what is a memo. It is used to communicate between and among the employees of one organization, and then you have to think of avoiding certain formalities that are found in a letter, and then you have to think of the tone of the memorandum and the flow of memorandum, that how it moves from one place to another place, from one individual to another individual. Now the next thing to consider is the format of a memo. We've discussed a lot about the format of memo. Three parts are not found in a memo: inside address, salutation and complimentary close. And memo has basically three parts, and we've discussed. Just recall what were those three parts. Let's look at a memo and then we discuss further. This memo starts with a organization name. This organization name, I mean, here you don't find any organization's name. Here it's a blank memo. Imagine, just picture that you are looking at a memo. The very first thing that you look at is, at the top of the page, is the organization name. So far as the organization name is concerned, it's something optional. Sometimes simply a paper is used on which the word memorandum is written, or the word memo is written at the top, 2 inches below the top of the page, and then the other parts of the memo comes. So if you look at the other parts of the memo, we see that it has a heading, to always recipient's name or designation, and from the writer's name or designation. So far as the to part is concerned, we can use organizational position of the recipient of our message, especially in case of sending the message to outside the city. We can add courteous title with the name of the recipient, like Mr., Mrs., Ms., etc. But normally we don't use these courteous title with the from part. I mean, the sender does not use these courteous title with his name. Tell me one thing, do we use a courteous title as sender in our letters? Did we discuss this thing? I'm sure if you could just go back to the lecture in which we discuss the format of a business letter, I did discuss about this, that we can include this courteous title with our name under the signature part of the letter. But normally in memo we don't include this courteous title. Then we have date. Sometime when we are working as one department of a bigger organization, we can include the location and department of our sender or of our own into it. So then comes the subject. What we did discuss about the subject? Remember that we discussed that the subject of the memo basically gives the message in a very eye-catching manner, in a phrase. It shouldn't be a complete sentence, not punctuated. So the subject always give a brief summary of the message. Then comes the main message. We'll discuss this when we'll be discussing planning steps. The message of the memorandum is set out like that of a letter. Good English in spaced paragraph. Note, however, that no inside address, salutation or complimentary clause are required. And then we can use this copy notation, enclosures, and so far as signs are concerned, you know, they are optional. And sometime only initials are, author's initials are given, and they are given in the middle, in the center of the page. So this is a format of a memo. Let's look at a memo. So it has a to, from, and subject, date. So if you look at the memo, it has the same planning steps like that of a letter. We have main idea in the opening paragraph or the opening sentence, the reason for writing and context of the message, including appropriate details like that of a letter, reason for writing, and this gives the context that why we are writing that memo, and then explanation, necessary details to support the opening statement. Here the substance of messages set out logically and clearly. This may be less formal than a letter, so you can use numbered points. So you have the facility to be flexible in your messages compared to a letter. You can use numbered point, and you can be more informal in your letter. Though we discussed, when we were discussing 7 C's, that in business communication, the level of our communication is most of the time informal, though in certain reports and certain communication we do adopt formal level of communication, but mostly it's informal. So in the middle part you set out your main statement very logically, taking your reader step by step to the conclusion. In the closing paragraph of the message, you state clearly what is required of the recipient in response. Obviously, sometimes you make some suggestions for future action to the reader, and sometimes you request something from the reader for future action. So it depends on your relationship with your reader, as well as it depends on the nature of your message, what type of message you are going to write. So this is how we write message, but we need to discuss its planning in detail. As this is a message like a letter, it also follows the same organizational plan. Since most of the time we use it for communicating messages within our organization, so we normally use direct plan in the memorandum. So sometime you may find it necessary to write a persuasive or bad news memo. Like any letter, you may have to write a memo in which you want to persuade your workforce to take some certain action. Maybe you are asking your workforce, your subordinates to denote something for a charity. So obviously in such a case you will be using persuasive approach. Or sometime you do communicate certain policies which are like which are unfavorable with the reader. So here you are using the bad news plan, the inductive plan. So in planning your memos, again you'll have to think of the message, whether it's going to be favorable or unfavorable. But compared to a letter, here you have more facility to be direct than indirect in certain situations. So it's necessary that you write persuasive and bad news messages when time requires you to write. You may like a step-by-step method to your request or bad news. I mean, you start your message in step-by-step, bringing it into points, and you take your reader with you to the conclusion. You have given some idea, you have started some thought in your message, and you want your reader to go with you. So you very logically set out your points. It is like going step by step to the end, and your reader is going with you to the end. So it can be a step-by-step method. Allow reader to complete reading the memo and come to the conclusion with you. So if you look at this point actually is like that of talking to somebody. I mean, you take your reader with you as if you were talking to him. So you start telling him about some certain event or some certain problem, and then you take him to the end by giving him certain reason to look at the matter from your point of view. So this is actually the height of a good communicator, when he is writing his message in such a way as if he were talking to the reader. So if you want to be a good communicator, you have to think of this quality. A good communicator is one who talks in writing. The reader feels as if he were listening to the writer. So this is how you take your reader to the end in a talking manner, in a way that he feels as if he were listening to you face to face or any telephone, right? Then we have allow the reader to see the reasoning that leads us support to the ideas you are conveying. It's obviously something similar to the first point. I mean, you give the reason and then you give the time to your reader to measure the importance of the reasoning, to visualize the importance of the reasoning, so that he could reach to the same conclusion or he could be in your place. Then the most important thing about the memos is that you have to maintain goodwill with your reader. So whenever you are planning memos, it's very important that you have to think of your topic, your message as favorable or unfavorable. If your message is favorable, neutral, you can use direct plan. And if you think that you need to be persuasive, use persuasive plan, either plan that we've been discussing. I'm sure that by now you will be well familiar with the plans. And if you are yourself in any organization and in writing process, by now you must be determining the organizational plan of your messages before you start writing your messages, because we've been discussing them too much. As I've been telling you right from the beginning, it's just like having a new set of habits, having a new thinking, new approach toward writing. I mean, the logical approach that help us in writing very logical messages that bring the desired result. So whenever you're planning, think of the message planning step as we do in every communication. And most important in this context is that you can picture very well your reader. So if you can picture very well your reader in your mind, then you can write to him as if you are talking to him. Then comes the structure of the memo. As I told you that a memo can be just one sentence, an opening sentence, just one sentence paragraph, and it can be a report, as we will study when we will be discussing report, that we have a memo report in which we write reports in the format of a memo. So we can write memo for very short messages and we can write memos for very long messages. So we have to discuss the structure of the memo. Structure of the memo is normally discussed in two ways. A memorandum, as the name suggests, is basically an aid to memory of the reader. I mean, it helps the reader to remember something that the reader has read. So basically, it should be very short. It should be very brief. Structure-wise, we call such short, brief memos A5 memos. We give this name A5. A5 memos provide confirmation and records of the various plans, decisions, and activities of the organization. So A5 memos are used for a lot of short messages, for conveying any decision, for telling the people about the activities of a department or any certain person, or sending records. This can be a very helpful record keeper, that whenever you are sending some important record to any individual or to any department, this memo, through this memo can be a record keeper. You can sort out things later on if any problem arises. So this A5 memo is basically as big as the upper or lower half of a page of 11.5 in length and 8.5 in width. So any upper or half part of the page can have this type of memo. And the main structure of the memo, the message of the memo is very short and having such topic as I just said. The other type of structure is A4, and we call it A4 memo. It may be used for making informal reports. As I just said that we have memo reports, reports which are written on memo format. It can be used for outlining new policies. New policies can be just few and can be a lot of new policies. And it can be used for giving briefing and instructions. We can send briefing of a certain meeting or of a certain event through this A4 memo. This A4 memo is of the full page of the same length that I just explained. 11.5 in length and 8.5 in width. And it can have 2-3 continuation sheets too. It can be a 3-4 pages memo. So this A4 memo can be used for sending longer messages, reports, company policies and activities, or any instructions, etc. to employees. So this is the structure of the memo. So why are memorandum written? I'm sure that by now you must be well versed with the idea of memorandum, and you will be able to tell that why memorandum are written. They are written to determine responsibility. You send certain messages, certain instructions to the employees. They are written to clear up inconsistencies whenever there is problem organization within a department. So these carry short messages to clarify the inconsistencies in the process of communication. And they record needed information. Most of all, if you are sending some important message, some important file, some proposal, anything, so they are the record keeper in there. Always tell you that where a certain message went. So we have discussed certain other aspects of memorandum which we did not discuss when we were discussing the format of a business message, that was letter, and we also touched this topic, the format of a memorandum. Since memorandum is very important, it was important to discuss in detail the purpose of memo, that what is a memo, and then the tone of memorandum, and then we have to discuss the planning steps of memo and why memorandum are important. So let's now switch on to another topic. We have talked a lot about memorandum. That is circular. Like letter, like memorandum, it's also a type of message. But circular letters are used to send the same information to a number of people. In a letter or in a memo, you choose one person, one individual, one department, and you send information. But in a circular letter, you have the same information and you have a lot of readers belonging to different walks of life, belonging to different departments, and obviously in certain cases they are the employee of your own organization. But the difference is that you want to send this information to each individual because it belongs to each individual separately, not belong to them as a whole. So this type of letter is used in sale campaigns. In sale campaigns we use this circular. And obviously, if we use in sale campaigns, it means that we have to think of the same planning steps. This basically letter is used for different purposes also. For example, organization use this circular letter for announcing important developments in their business, such as any extension, such as reorganizations, such as changes of addresses. So whenever they want to communicate this type of information to a lot of people, they use circular letter. A circular letter is prepared once and it may be then duplicated for distribution to the various recipients. I mean, you have written one letter that tells that you are reorganizing your organization, or you have changed the venue of your organization, or there is some important development in your business, like you are going to open a branch office. So for any instance, you write just one message, as we will see that what this circular is. So you write just one message and then you duplicate it and you send into various recipients, various people, to different organizations, to different individuals. But it needs care. Why does it need care? As we know that it is to be sent a lot of people, we may lose personal touch in it. The reader may feel that there is no relationship between the writer and the reader. So here we need to take care. We have to give this type of message the same amount of care that we give to our letters or to our memorandums. So for that matter, we need to give some extra time to planning. We have to think of the planning steps, the way we are going to send the information to a lot of people. So one thing that is important is we must give a personal touch to this type of letter, this type of message, circular letters. So coming to the writing plan, remember, although circulars are being sent to many people, it is important to suggest an interest in the recipient by giving them a personal touch. So as I just discussed, it is sent to too many people. So we want that each recipient must feel a personal touch when he or she reads a circular. So for that matter, what do we need to follow is, number one, be brief. People will not read a long circular. We have to give information, so we need to be brief. We don't have to tell a tale. Since some writers are prone to this type of writing circular, we have to be brief. We have to take care of these circular letters the way we take care of our other messages. So number one is be brief. Then make the letter as personal as possible by addressing each letter to a particular person by name if you know it. Instead of writing dear customers, instead of writing dear client, instead of writing ladies and gentlemen, if you write ladies and gentlemen, they are plural, so the reader is a single person. So you are not conveying this personal touch to your reader. So when you know the name of your reader, it's better that you must write his or her name in the salutation. Dear Mr. Ali, dear Mr. Hassan, or any name, thinking of the person. So make the letter as personal as possible. And how can you make a letter as personal as possible? By writing down the name in salutation. And try to avoid as much as is possible, though in certain cases it's not possible. You do not know the name of the reader of a particular person, and then you have to write. But remember that don't write dear clients or dear customers. Don't use plural. Use singular, dear customer, dear client. And if you know the name, nothing is like that. So remember, one recipient will read each individual letter. So you have to give a personal touch. Then create the impression of personal interest by using you when you are talking, when you are giving your message, as we just discussed in the planning step of memo, that take your reader step by step to the conclusion. So similarly, create the impression of personal interest by using you, giving you attitude into your message, instead of our customers, all customers, our clients, everyone. Instead of using these type of empty words for your reader, you should use you. So the reader should feel that the message is written for him. So whenever you are writing these circular message, the most important thing that you have to think of is to give a personal touch. And we've been discussing that how you can give this personal touch by using an appropriate salutation, including name into it whenever possible, and not including plural salutations like gentlemen or ladies or dear customers. And then in the body of the message, you are also using you pronoun instead of our clients, our customers, or everyone. So these points are important for writing circular letter. And circular letter are the letters that are written in bulk. They are sent to a lot of people, to various recipients. The same letter is written and then sent to a lot of people. Then explain why you are writing with more care than you would if you and your topic were already known to the recipient through previous specific contact. When you are writing letters, obviously the message is known to you and to your reader. Even if you are writing a message like inquiry to a new reader, but the reader already is waiting for an inquiry or any request regarding his business or his organization, but here you need to inform them. So you need to give extra care to this aspect, this fact, that you have to make him acquainted with your message. Then express yourself in a way that will be understandable, congenial to everyone in a wide audience with varying backgrounds and abilities. So here you do not know your reader. This is one flaw. So you have to think maximum about your reader, and you have to give margin to your reader that he does not you. So just picture, make a mind meeting of your reader and then write your messages. Do not include detailed information or complex ideas, as the reader is unknown in most of the cases. So if you include some detailed information or complex information, or you use some jargon, your technical language, then your reader won't be able to understand you. So be careful in this regard, that you don't have to use any complex or detailed information into your circular letter. Your language should be very simple. Try to explain something as if any technical thing to any novice, to any beginner, to anyone who is not of that field. So make your letter more persuasive. Here we need persuasion more than any other letter, or to some extent, to the extent of sales letter. So make your letter more persuasive, not just to achieve its purpose, but to motivate the recipient to start reading it. Like sales letter, you have to attract the attention of your reader, and you have to adopt the same devices that you use for writing sales letter. So use persuasive plan for this type of letter, because you want your reader to read your message, come to the conclusion with you. Use word processing technology to personalize the circular to a very large extent. I mean, now this facility is with you, that you can just jot down one letter, you can write just one letter, and with this word processing technology you can give salutation and inside addresses to a lot of letters, so you can make all the letters individual. So whenever you are writing circular letter, you have to take care of all these things. The most important factor that we have been discussing regarding this type of a letter is that this letter should give a personal touch to your reader. So think of your reader, use very simple language, you make a very brief message, avoid complex and detailed messages, and use persuasive plan into your messages, because your main purpose is just to make your reader act according to your wishes. So writing circular letter, you have to take care of these things. Now let's look at a circular letter. Dear Mr. Ali, we are pleased to announce the opening of our new high secondary branch at the above address from the coming session starting from September 2. Mr. Hassan has been appointed principal, and with his 20 years experience in education, we are sure that quality education will be provided. Full admission fee is being word off to students getting admission by August 25. A special 25% discount in monthly fee will be given to students getting admission on kinship basis. We hope our student will enjoy the same standard of education which is the hallmark of our education system. So you look at this circular letter. This is informing the people of a certain area about the opening of a new branch of any system of education. So you look at the way the information is passed down, very simple information. The letter is very brief. It doesn't have any technical information or any detailed information, and most of all, the plan is very persuasive. The last paragraph is like that of a sales letter, is stimulating the reader to take some action. Let's look at another circular letter. Dear Mr. Ali, to meet the growing demand for cosmetic products in this area, we have decided to extend our business by opening a new department. Our new department will carry an extensive range of cosmetic at prices which compare very favorably with those charged by other suppliers. We would like the opportunity to demonstrate our new merchandise to you, and are therefore arranging a special window display during the week beginning 2nd June. The official opening of our new department will take place on Friday, 3rd July. We hope you will visit our new department during opening week and give us the opportunity to show you that it maintains the reputation enjoyed by our other department for giving sound value for your money. So you look at these two messages, these two circular letters. These circular letters are meant to be circulated at a very wider range. The reader of these messages are more than the reader of a letter or a memo. The various recipient of the message are there, and so far, keeping in view people of different tastes, people belonging to different walks of life, these two letters are written on a persuasive writing plan, in which personalized tone is used. So whenever you are writing these types of messages, be very careful about the guideline that we have just discussed, that you have to make certain letters of this type very personal. Today we have discussed two types of messages, memorandum and the circular letter. What I want you to be more careful about is their planning. If you write messages with good planning, you will certainly write good messages. So today we are over with these two topics, and in the next lecture we will discuss some other topic. So until then, Khuda Hafiz.